Okay, Steve, we are live. Welcome, everybody, to Wall Street Reporter's next Super Stock live stream, CEO live chat. For today, August 25th, we have with us once again Steve Saviuk. He is the CEO of Valeo Pharma. The stock symbol is VPH on the CSE. The stock will soon be going on the OTC, so hopefully by the time we have our next live stream, we'll have an OTC symbol. Steve, welcome back.
Thanks, Jack. Nice to be back.
So, Steve, you got some fantastic news starting last week. You announced this with a $6 million financing.
That's correct. We were approached by Stifel, which is an American investment bank which has Canadian operations. Our shares were trading, I think, in around 125, 130. They offered us a bought deal at 120 with a half warrant, exercisable at 150 for 2 years. We thought two things. Number one, we've been talking to Stifel for months. They're analysts, they're investment banking people. We have a good relationship with them. I think they appreciate our business plan, our business model, want to support it, and the timing was just right to do this financing. So we're very, very pleased with it, and we announced it last week, and it should finalize later on this afternoon.
Okay, no, that's great news. So just now Stifel is they're like a substantial investment banking operation in the U.S. I actually didn't know they had an operation in Canada. So this is
they
good.
Acquired a portion of GMP. I think their corporate finance and their institutional sales group in Canada within the last, let's say, 24 months or so. So it's relatively new in Canada, but the team has been here for a long time. They just have a different business card they carry.
Okay, so this is actually, well, two things. One is it's a strong validation because it's they're a substantial player, and also I'm assuming that's a good catalyst for more institutional interest in the stock. Over the next months, analyst coverage and all those good things. So increased visibility. I think that's really the takeaway for investors.
Correct. I mean, the retail investors will always play an important role with our company, and they're really the sort of the so-called bread and butter and the foundation of our shareholder base. But as we grow, what Stifel does, as I mentioned earlier, they're strictly an institutional firm. So a good part of this financing is institutional, and that's by design. We want to, as we grow as a company, the shareholder base kind of evolves to some degree, and I think there is some good institutional interest in this current round.
Okay, no, definitely, because obviously, the stock is still relatively illiquid. I mean, I don't think any fund can really they can't pick up $1 million worth of stock or something like that.
There's a number of funds that indicated an interest in getting involved with us, and as you know, funds often will buy at one level, and then as the company grows, they continue to support it. And even though our shares do trade, somewhere is over 100,000 shares per day, what's called, I guess, the public float is still fairly tight, which causes institutions to have some difficulty acquiring a position, so an equity position. So this will serve to mitigate that. And again, expanding our shareholder base in Canada is important. Expanding it also into the U.S. is right up there also, and we expect that will start over the coming months as we grow with both yourselves, with our listing in the U.S. On the OTC market, or anticipated listing to become really a North American held company.
Okay, so we're gonna open up to some questions from the audience for the live chat in a few minutes. So first, I mean, the obvious question I want to ask you is, what are your plans for deploying this capital now?
Well, as we're a growing company, and growing companies need working capital, and working capital does a number of things or serves a number of purposes. As we move towards profitability, which we anticipate at the end of our fiscal year, which is October, so just several months away, funding is no longer used to cover your monthly losses. Funding is then used to support growth, and growth would be things such as inventory growth. Growth would be such as product acquisition growth, licensing rights, what have you. So the funds will be used predominantly for that purpose. And again, the stronger you are financially, the more attractive you are to your licensor partners that want to ensure that you have the capabilities of actually executing on your business plan. So we've been quite successful in our in-licensing endeavors since inception. I believe this will just make us that much more stronger. And as I said, it was the right time.
Okay, so that's an interesting point you bring up. So when you're talking to, basically you're dealing with, international pharma companies, major players.
That's correct.
Does that give them a sense of comfort knowing that, you just received, significant funding from, a substantial investment bank? Does that,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, it's not, we have, if you look at our products in certain just rough baskets, you have products that we currently have on the market. You have products that we have that we will bring to market over the course of the next, 0 to 6, 9 months. And then you have products that are in true business development in the pipeline in terms of being negotiated now. And clearly to have a stronger balance sheet is something that your licensor partners look for, again, to ensure that you have the capabilities to execute on a plan. And as you know, many products, when there's different types of pharma products, and I'm not talking therapeutically, I'm talking in terms of their stage of the life cycle. Our focus is on in-licensing products that we will register with Health Canada, and that ultimately we will start building the market from zero to wherever it goes over a period of years. Generally speaking, at the beginning of that cycle, the products are not contributing. In fact, in some cases, there's a use of funds. So having a strong working capital base is really a necessity if you want to be considered a serious player in the pharma market. And it puts us not as big as some of our big peers, but it puts us with a strong leg up on a lot of let's say, the competition in Canada in terms of having capital, and also the perception of access to capital, which is equally important, and having the support institutionally that if there was a deal that came along, a product opportunity that required more capital, that could be available. So, and it's, we are on the CSE, we like the CSE, but as companies grow, there is a natural migration path up to more senior exchanges, which have more stringent working capital requirements. So this is also, so it's a mix of all of these things that help.
Steve, you mentioned something interesting. It's that you said it's for some of your partners, it's that perception of access to capital. So, if they know that, you're able to tap into markets and raise, let's call it another $10-20 million, whether debt, equity, what have you, would that open up the opportunity to in-license, blockbuster potential drugs?
And when I say perception, it's not a false perception; it's a real perception.
No, it's the reality. You can do it.
Exactly. So the fact that you develop deeper investment banking relationships with Stifel, but as you know, we do have other firms that are on this deal. We have Desjardins, which is a Quebec-based, the largest financial institution in Quebec. We have Industrial Alliance, we have Mackey, and there are other firms that are supporting it also. So having these good relationships give us the strong belief, whether, as you said, whether it be capital is equity and is debt, it's depending on the best ratio for the deal or that you're looking to acquire, or for your shareholders. And as you move up the sort of so-called food chain, your access to capital becomes easier. And we feel that this financing is a real stepping stone in that direction, because we certainly have strong growth aspirations and expectations. And as with all companies, whether it be us or Tesla, you need access to capital to be able to support that growth. It can't be just all internally funded. So, but obviously these are accretive type of situations where you're looking to acquire an asset that will, the classic 1 + 1 = 3 kind of equation. Those are certainly opportunities that we are looking at, and we have some really, in our pipeline, very interesting ones. We announced yesterday the filing of product in Canada, which is filed in Canada, but we have the worldwide rights, which is named Hesperco, which is over-the-counter product. It's a bioflavonoid. For those who don't know what a bioflavonoid they're extracted from mainly citrus fruit, but you can get it from soya. You can have it from other food types, and it has some extremely powerful antioxidant effects. So antioxidants help against the sort of the free radicals that circulate in the body and cause harm to your cells. It has some immune stimulation aspects to it, and I think our belief, and certainly there's a lot of literature that supports our belief that given the compromised times that we're in, immune support is always an important aspect, whether it be the common cold, the flu, or any other types of viruses that are circulating.
We're talking COVID.
Well, COVID is it's not specifically targeted at this point for COVID. It's broader, all viruses. Our partner is a small, young biotech company in Montreal called Valeo Pharma. I would encourage people to go to their website and see what some of the research that they've done. But this is really strong antiviral support, and as I mentioned, in these
I guess you have to be careful what you say. You can't
exactly. I mean, it's
industry,
kind of a walk before you run aspect. Where as time goes on, we hope to strengthen and be more explicit on some of the claims that we can make. But there's a very strong case to be put forward that people should be taking more antioxidants, more immune support products in the marketplace all over North America, all over the world, actually. So we expect to launch in Canada as soon as we get Health Canada approval. The product has actually been manufactured, so we're ready to launch here. The U.S., we are moving forward with registration. There's been interest from the U.S., interest from Europe, certainly a lot of interest from Canada for another product in the marketplace, and a unique formulation that we think will bring some really strong benefits to Canadians, Americans, and anyone else that can have access to the product.
Okay. Now, is this an over-the-counter, or is this
This will be an over-the-counter product. It's a naturally derived product. It has some very interesting characteristics as to how what it does in the body and what it does to defend the body against viruses. Again, our partner, Valeo Pharma, that's the licensor of this product. If you visit their website, they're much more explicit than we can be. They've done a lot more research, but this is a compound that's been around obviously since the dawn of time, but in terms of clinically looked at and research since I believe around the SARS virus in 2002. Where a lot of compounds were screened and a lot of research was done. So over the last 18 or 19 years, a lot of peer-reviewed publications have been published or been printed specifically on this compound. And again, if you look at the Valeo website, they actually reference a lot of those. Once where our website's up specifically on our product, we will access some of those articles too. So this is, again, independent work that has been done that sort of illustrates why and how this Hesperco supports the immune system.
Okay. So this is really your first over-the-counter product. Everything else you have is prescription.
Prescription. Right? It's true, and it's a kind of it is a sort of a departure to some degree, but it's still what we consider a medical need that we're addressing. And our head of commercial operations, Marc Léger, actually ran the retail over-the-counter business for Schering-Plough, 10 so years ago before he joined us. So we have a good experienced commercial team from that perspective. This will be a very affordable product. We're talking about $1 a day kind of affordability. So clearly affordable by most people or almost everybody. But with some really, we believe, with some very strong value proposition. And again, that will be more I would say, more described and more supported in the coming weeks as we launch the product and as Ingenu continues to publish product information on the product on their website.
What's the timeline for launching this?
It will virtually upon approval, but as is happening, I guess, all over North America, whether it be with the FDA or Health Canada, COVID has slowed things down. I mean, people have to work from home, and there's not the same interaction. At least that's what we're seeing, and that's what some of our peers are telling us. The agencies are doing a wonderful job trying to keep up with things, but there's a reality of distance working, I suppose. And so our expectation is that by the end of September at the latest, we should have approval. But we're certainly, as I mentioned, we have already manufactured product waiting. So should approval come earlier, we will launch earlier. We'll launch. Our sort of guesstimate is within 2 weeks of approval in Canada, and then obviously, if we are to launch in the U.S., it'll be probably several months later. But we're certainly gearing up for a Canadian launch. It'll be a retail and over the counter, as well as a internet web based sale also. So you'll be able to buy the product. So virtually everyone will have access to the product once it's available.
Okay. And so basically the product, essentially, it's ready to go. It's manufactured. You have the packaging, everything. Like what's the distribution plan like in terms of the retail, pharmacies, all that stuff?
Yeah, the expectation is it'll be available in retail across Canada. And we have a organization to support us in that effort. We've actually spoken to some retailers, and there's clearly a strong interest in having it on their shelves. And we expect there'll be a lot of publicity around the launch. It's anticipated in certain circles from the point of view of its efficacy and quite as I mentioned, a unique strength, a unique formulation that we worked on, and we will continue to support it. And we're expecting there'll be it's in a capsule format right now. We're already in discussions with certain firms about potentially some other types of delivery mechanisms. So we're very excited about it. We think it'll be certainly one of our top products coming out. And regardless of the virus that viruses are there are viruses around all the time, and as you know,
there's more coming. They're evolving.
I think there's 4 types of coronavirus that cause the common cold. So the common cold's around 12 months a year. So it's people need with whether they have a compromised immune system or even if they're healthy, they need immune support and daily immune support, and in addition to washing your hands and being careful. And that doesn't just go for this pandemic; it goes for our daily lives. I think we'd all be healthier if we followed that aspect. But this product, it certainly comes where a need, or certainly fits a need, I think, in the treatment regime of people. As I said, whether it's these times or other times, and as I said on our website, we'll have a lot more data or just peer-reviewed articles. I say that's just support, whether it be in vitro, in vivo trials, so either test tube trials or actually trials in animal to support the use of and the benefits of this product.
Okay, so in the U.S. market, you're going to launch in the U.S. a few months after the Canada launch.
Yeah, it's hard to say exactly right now because our production capabilities, we're expecting them, although we're expanding the capabilities, we're expecting most of the sales, the capabilities to be fully absorbed in Canada. But our plan is to, as quickly as we can, both register the product in the U.S. and start selling the product in the U.S. Okay. Europe will be probably later. And I'm not, it could be possible that even on launch via internet, you could acquire the product even if you're in the U.S. It's certainly we can ship to the U.S. But our desire would be to have a more established platform in the U.S. with product that resides in the U.S. so it can be more easily distributed rather than shipping out of Canada all the time.
I guess the real question, Steve, is what do you consider the market potential, the revenue potential for this OTC product to be?
The
Any
it's
comps,
that's
similar stuff out there?
always are. The North American bioflavonoid market is probably, the worldwide market's over 900 million. The North American market is probably at least half that. That's based on our research. So that's not to say this will be a 500 million or $400 million product, but we can easily see that our projections are 20, 30 million potential in Canada alone, and if you add the US, you could easily double that. So it's about a brand. It's about a brand that's going to be called Hesperico. It's about a brand that's going to be supported with a lot of scientific data. It will be supported clinically, so there'll be some clinical data, and I think there'll be some also formulation, changes over time that will give users options in terms of how they might want to take the product. But very safe product. Can be taken daily. Again, it's a citrus extract, so I guess your alternative.
But you're essentially forecasting that this could do 100 million between U.S. and North America sales.
I think the overall market is certainly probably in that vicinity. How much of that market we actually are able to get is obviously the question and what we have to work on. But the potential is, as I said, in Canada, where we think the Canadian potential is somewhere in the $20-30 million range, and that's based on a number of metrics that we've looked at internally. Again, it's always difficult with a new product to say how will it be embraced. There's other bioflavonoids on the marketplace existing currently. The advantage of ours is the specificity, where we're using one specific flavonoid, and which we think has better immune stimulation characteristics than the others on the marketplace. And we hope to demonstrate that by science. And as I mentioned, this is a compound that's been extensively researched for the last 20 years and has been viewed by many repeatedly, as Pierre Laurent's quote is in our press release, as the best compound, or one of the best compounds out there, to actually not necessarily just prevent, but to lessen the symptoms of many viral incursions or viral infections. And it does so by different mechanisms of action. What the literature suggests, and again, this is peer-reviewed literature, so I'm sort of repeating what the literature says, is it does so by prophylactically, or if you're a healthy person taking it, by preventing a virus from necessarily invading your cells as easily. Once the virus is in your cells, so actually you're sick and you decide that you need to take, you're starting to feel some symptoms, or maybe you're symptomless, but there's some exposure to a virus, it actually sort of it helps slow down the replication of the virus, or with the reproduction of the virus. And that allows your body's own immune system to come to the support. That support typically takes 7 to 10 days, which is why everyone wants vaccines against viruses, because when the virus invades your body, the vaccine or the antibodies automatically flare up because they recognize the virus. For someone that has never been infected with a virus, you don't have that recognition. So the body takes 7 to 10 days before it builds up its own antibodies to fight the virus. So during that 7 to 10 day period, that's when you're really vulnerable. And that's where we think products such as ours play a role in reducing that vulnerability. If we can slow down the viral intrusion, it lets your body fight a weaker army, so to speak, when its own antibodies kick in. But there's a back end, and the back end is the fact that your body, as it kind of creates these antibodies, does so in a way that can sometimes be harmful to certain organs. So what we are looking at that point in time, which is another feature of our product in literature, it suggests that it has anti-inflammatory effects. So it actually helps to reduce the inflammation that could be caused by this kind of rapid and sometimes sort of a, I guess, aggressive antibody response that your body normally creates to try to defend itself. So it has these very interesting modes of action. We want to study these a lot more. We'd like to study these clinically a lot more, and we anticipate doing so. So it'll be a combination of 20 years of literature that supports various aspects of what I've just said repeatedly. And we're also looking to create new data based on specific models, maybe specific viruses, which will help people associate with, but the viruses and,
this is essentially it's a perennial product. It's not just like a COVID thing. This is going to be going on forever.
We're currently a pandemic with one virus, but we have viruses around us all the time. So immune support is a small word that means many things when you dig down through it, or it percolates, and it's really a key. It's a key aspect of keeping ourselves healthy and reducing symptoms from various viral infections.
I just realized it probably also fits into your existing product pipeline, because let's say the oncology stuff, there was immune system issues, so this could be something that's also marketed
in respiratory, cardiology. It could be it touches as kind of like an ancillary product many other therapeutic areas. However, it's channeled to market. Normally, our market is a direct-to-doctor market. It's a prescription market, as you correctly said at the beginning of the show. However, we feel it fits in the sense that it brings a science. For us, science is what's important. We have to be able to support something with real scientific data, and we think we can with this product. There is a lot of scientific literature that are done by some leading institutions that have come and concluded about the benefits of the active ingredient which is used in this product. So that's where I think the commonality is. That we're really doctor focused, patient focused, pharmacist focused company. So healthcare, the healthcare system, whether it be any of those three general audiences, and we think this product is going to be well received, and it's very interesting. It's stimulating, and I think it'll be beneficial to our company, both from a visibility and from an earnings and revenue point of view.
Okay, so we've got some questions coming in. Let's jump to the first one. People can't wait for you to be on the OTC. So Steve, when are you going to be on the OTC, and then how many shares and warrants are out there?
Okay, well, right now we are, we applied at the end of July. We've answered a number of their queries, and we filed additional information and everything. So we don't have a specific date yet, but it's well on its way, and I like all your viewers can't wait for the day that we can announce it. But I'm sure it's in the coming weeks that we should be able to do so.
Okay, and now what about NASDAQ? When are you going to be on NASDAQ now that you have
again, it's a stepping stone. In Canada, we're on something called the Canadian Securities Exchange, and one of the reasons, not the only reason, that we applied for OTC listing is the fact that a lot of investors that reside in the U.S. Indicated to us that they had a lot of difficulty accessing our trading symbol, accessing our shares if they wanted to acquire them, and we made that decision to go OTC also in the U.S. to have that access to our shares easier, or improve access to our shares. Our next step up, and it's a normal progression for small Canadian companies. We love the CSE, but the most senior exchange in Canada is the TSX, the Toronto Stock Exchange. It's the singular senior exchange in Canada, and as companies grow, that's the exchange they typically aspire to, because again, visibility on a worldwide basis is much stronger on that exchange. Access on a worldwide basis. Some institutions are more or less, I would say, are more predicated towards buying companies that have access to that exchange, more liquidity, things of that nature. So we would expect to someday graduate to TSX. And in the same breath, the progression in the U.S. is not always to NASDAQ, but it could be to, there's different levels of OTC. So whether it's NASDAQ or the OTC market that's immediately south of NASDAQ. But clearly our message is a North American message in terms of our investor base. We are launching in September our first product in the U.S. With a U.S. based partner. I can't say that that's that's the beginning of a string of products to be launched in the U.S. That's not the case. So it is a bit of a one-off, but clearly we keep thinking about the U.S. market as to as a Canadian company link with we certainly talk to a lot of American companies that are NASDAQ listed that have developed or are developing some truly innovative drugs that are probably not looking to establish themselves in Canada directly. So they would be looking for a partner like a Valeo to be able to in-license those drugs. And that's kind of, so our connection to the U.S. is quite deep, and we have a number of discussions going on in that area. And there's nothing that says that down the road possibly we won't have more compounds or more drugs being sold in the States, whether through a partner or through some kind of our own organization. So this company is relatively young. It's started in 2003, but as you know, we sold most of our assets, in fact, all our assets, to Valiant in 2014-15, and really restarted in a certain way. Same people. We didn't sell the company. We sold our products. So we had this basically empty pharma company with employees, and said, okay, let's start rebuilding this business. And we rebuilt it, as in a Canadian model. But time will tell. We expect to be around for a long time. As expansion, Canadian market is big. It's a $30 billion drug market. So it's not that there's not opportunities here, but sometimes there's opportunities in one country that lead you to another country, and that could well be the case here. So we certainly want to develop a good long relationship with our American shareholders and
so,
with we report.
There's a lot of, Steve, you've dropped a lot of hints today. There's a lot of hints you've dropped. So you have this.
There are more down the road and somewhere, just to be very, concrete. Hesperco is concrete. We think a lot about this product, and we think it'll be a very, very well received product in Canada when we launch it, and hopefully in the U.S. when we are able to get it down there. And we have other products in our pipeline. We've launched, as I mentioned, in September, we'll be launching our first product directly into the U.S. We just launched two products in the last 3 weeks. One for which is a hospital anesthetic. The other is our first oncology product, and that really kicks off our oncology therapeutic vertical. A very rare disease. It's a product called Yondelis. It was marketed in Canada previously by Johnson & Johnson. We took over the rights from them as they deal with other maybe larger opportunities and some of the smaller ones that do need some support. I mean, you're looking in Canada at potentially 500 patients per year. It's a very rare orphan disease.
Yeah, they don't want to bother with anything that's not like doing $1 billion in revenue.
It's there's always the niches, and I suppose some niches are bigger than others depending on who you are. But this is a product that does a number of things for us. It's an excellent drug that treats a very rare type of cancer. It's when I say treats, it's in many times it's a pre-palliative type of use. So you're looking at extending life for a period of time. But it has some very strong benefits in that respect. It also allows us to be to help develop our to develop our oncology vertical, and that as a result of in licensing Yondelis, we have several other oncology drugs that we're currently speaking about. It's an area we want to be in. It's an area we think that there is actually room for a company such as Valeo to be in oncology. Oncology is, as you know, it's obviously a very important therapeutic area with many different types of cancer to be treated. But what people, oh, sorry about that. People have to understand that it's a
today, right? You get
pardon me?
Today. You have that $6 million closing today.
Yeah, well, we have the ability. I mean, you know, it's one thing to have your business plan and to have your, you know, it all laid out in front of you, but you also have to support it financially. And this financing does it and allows us to keep growing the business. And growing the business means products, growing revenue, growing earnings, growing value in the business, and ultimately growing our share price. And it's all the while providing treatments to people that are truly important for them to have. And I think that's really where it starts. When we look for drugs, we look for drugs that do make a difference, that have an improvement over maybe the standard of care in Canada, or that meet or actually satisfy an unmet need. And clearly products like Yondelis do so. Hesperco, we think also, I think it's a product that certainly I would you know, I would want my family to be taking it, and I think there will be some other people that'll be pronouncing on it as time goes on, also suggesting that it's a truly interesting, you know, bioflavonoid, or basically natural product that you should be taking on a regular basis. That's our belief.
Okay, so Steve, I know you got a busy day today with the closing the financing, so I'm gonna let you go. Just a few questions.
Sure.
So, but I guess the takeaway here is, you know, you dropped a couple of interesting hints. One is, you know, you have this potential with the Hesperco, which could be $100 million between the U.S. North America market potential.
Yeah, it's a big market, and it's you know, it's a product to be taken daily, as I said, not just whether it's during times of where you feel the viral load or viral you know, infections are more prevalent. Let's say in the fall, if it's just during regular, or if it's in more, you know, particular times, such as the time we're going through, where, you know, I would recommend, as I think many healthcare professionals do, in addition to all the other aspects of, you know, social distancing and what have you, is that they ensure that they have that, you know, their immune system is as protected as it potentially can be.
And the point number two is, this could be a beachhead for you now entering the U.S. market. So potentially you could be doing, you know, this is an entry point, and you could be doing pharmaceutical in the U.S. as well.
We're already the flow is already going north to south, south to north, and in terms of U.S. companies, actually, we're talking to bring their products into Canada. There's no short-term plan to establish ourselves in the U.S., but clearly, to having a North American presence at some point might make a lot of sense, and it's just a question of the right opportunity, and the right opportunity is the right products, but clearly you have to have the ability to fund these things, and fund them on a fairly short-term basis. You know, for those who have, you know, bought or sold companies or bought products that are listening, a lot of it is around, it's nice to see an opportunity, but you got to be able to pull all the pieces together relatively quickly, and that's due diligence, that's transition, but it's also funding these pieces. And I think the stronger you are financially, and the better network you are financially, and, you know, we keep talking. Our CFO spends a good part of his time talking to financial institutions on a regular basis, to know, so that they know who we are, even if it's not for today, it could be for down the road. But we want to be prepared that if opportunities do arise, so we have the capabilities to to access these opportunities, and as I said, funding is part of that. So this current round of financing is a real door opener, in the sense it's a bought deal. It shows commitment by our investment bankers, And it was very interesting to talk to some of the institutions that I've talked to over the last couple of weeks, and get them to know Valeo and know what our values are, or what our vision is. And it's a vision which is not a 1 week or 3 months or 6 months. This is a longer term vision of building a specialty pharma company that can truly be impactful and create a lot of value.
Okay, just to explain, for U.S. investors, a bought deal essentially is the Canadian version of a firm commitment underwriting, right? So it's like they're actually
firm commitment underwriting. That's correct. Yeah.
Okay, so it's not a best effort. So it's
that's correct. They're putting up they have a high degree of certainty that they're going to be able to place
right.
the offering.
Confidence in the company.
Confidence from us, right? We have to have a vision that and a reality and a vision of our business that investors gravitate towards. And I think we do. We have a business model that's very sound, and I think we have some unique characteristics that are as I mentioned, are unique by definition. So that gives even a greater sense of why should Valeo, or how will Valeo become a successful company in the long term, or short, medium, long term.
Okay, Steve. Last two questions. What milestones do you have coming up in the next couple of months? Any other news flow that we could be looking for?
Yeah, well, we certainly would look for the launch in the U.S. of ethicronic sodium in September. We look for the approval and the launch of Hesperco. We do have a product called Redesca, which we file in Canada, which is potentially a huge product. It addresses a large market. We only have the Canadian rights, but it addresses a $200 million market, and we're expecting approval in the early fall of that product and launch several months thereafter. So those are, amongst the many other little smaller, milestones that we have internally, but those would be the larger ones. And we are working diligently to get them to fruition, and they'll be accretive towards our company. The one other milestone I guess is break even by the end of October. That's really a kind of a core mantra that we have internally, and that break even comes from the launches that we just announced, and also the launch of Hesperco and ethicronic sodium in the U.S., which will, essentially push us into profitability, and that's really a milestone for a company, especially a pharma company, which has inherently heavy or large expenses because of its regulated status and what have you. And we're a bricks and mortar company. You walk in here, we have warehousing, we have people, we're virtual. We're not virtual in any sense of that word. And as a result, our fixed operating costs are a bit higher than maybe a company of our equivalent size. But the beauty is, as our business grows, those costs don't grow as quickly. They grow relatively slowly. So once you cover your basic operating costs, what you add on top is very accretive to your bottom line, and that bodes well for profitability going forward.
Okay, Steve, last question. Top 3 reasons why investors should consider Valeo Pharma stock today.
Well, I would say attractively valued vis-a-vis our peers. Our stock has gone from in the 40-50 cent range to $1.20 so range in Canada. But nevertheless, we think there's a lot more upside still to come as we launch our products. Number 2, we're going to be well funded as a result of this raise. So solid financial is important. It doesn't, whether it's in pharma or any industry, you want to be well capitalized and have the resources. And number 3 is our board of directors, our management team, and our employees are all shareholders. We own, prior to this financing, about low 70% of the company. So our hearts and our interests are aligned with our investor shareholders. We want to build this value. We want to build our share price. that's core to us. It's really a cultural thing, but everyone owns meaningful amount of shares in this company, and that aligns us with our investor shareholders. It's not a situation where this is like a lifestyle job that some of our employees have, where they make a great living and have the cottage and can go on 2 vacations a year and what have you. Actually, it's not the case. We pay relatively on the lower end of the pay spectrum, but they have a significant amount of equity. And if we carry out our business plan over the course of the next 3, 4, 5 years, their upside is what they're looking for, and that's the type of people we attract to Valeo. People actually put skin in the game because they believe that they can make a difference and grow this company.
Okay, Steve, on that note, I want to thank you, and we look forward to hearing more from Valeo in the coming weeks.
Yep. Well, it's always a pleasure to be here, Jack, and look forward to seeing you soon.
And thank you, everybody, for joining us. We'll see you on the next live stream.
Cheers.